Good afternoon. We're on the chapter in the Gospel, The Master in Various Moods, and it seems to be 1884, I think, which would be, October 1884. It was evening. We're on page 586 if you're following along. Halfway down the page. It was evening. Lamps were lighted on the south and west verandas. A lamp was lighted in the master's room also, and incense was burnt. He was repeating the name of the Divine Mother, absorbed in contemplation of her. After a while, he talked again to the devotees. There was still some time before the evening worship in the temples. Master to M. What need of the Sangha has a man who thinks of God day and night? What need of rituals has a man, what need of devotions any more, if he repeats the Mother's name at the 3 holy hours? Rituals may pursue him close, but never can they overtake him. Charity, vows, and giving gifts do not appeal to Madan's mind. The blissful Mother's lotus feet are his whole prayer and sacrifice. The Sangha merges in the Gayatri in Om. A man is firmly established in spiritual life when he goes into Samadhi on uttering Om once. There is a sadhu in Rishikesh who gets up early in the morning and stands near a great waterfall. He looks at it the whole day and says to God, "Ah, you have done well. Well done. How amazing." He doesn't practice any other form of japa or austerity. At night, he returns to his hut. What need is there even to bother one's head about whether God is formless or has a form? It is enough for a man to pray to him, alone in solitude weeping, "O God, reveal yourself to me as you are." God is both inside and outside. It is he who dwells inside us. Therefore the Vedas say, Tattvamasi, that thou art. God is also outside us. He appears manifold through Maya, but in reality, he alone exists. Therefore, before describing the various names and forms of God, one should say, Om Tat Sat. It is one thing to learn about God from the scriptures and quite another to see him. The scriptures only give hints. Therefore, to read a great many scriptures is not necessary. It is much better to pray to God in solitude. It isn't necessary to read all of the Gita. One can get the essence of the Gita by repeating the word 10 times. It becomes reversed and is then Tagi. The essence of the book is, O man, renounce everything and worship God. The master went into an ecstatic mood while watching the evening worship of Kali in the company of the devotees. He was in no condition even to salute the image. Very carefully he returned to his room with the devotees and sat down. He was still in an ecstatic mood. He spoke to them while in that state. In the room was Hari, a young man about 20 years of age, who was a relative of the Mukherjees and very much devoted to the master. He was married. At that time, he was living with the Mukherjees and looking for a job. Master to Hari in an ecstatic mood, take your initiation after getting your mother's permission. To Priya, referring to Hari, I couldn't give him the mantra, though I said I would initiate him. I don't initiate people. Continue with your own meditation and japa as you have been doing. Priya, yes, sir. Master, but I'm saying this to you in this state of my mind. Believe my words. You see, there's no show or deceit here. I just said to the Divine Mother in my ecstatic mood, O Mother, may those who come here, referring to himself, through sincere attraction, obtained perfection. Mahendra Kaviraj of Sinti was seated on the veranda conversing with Ramlal, Hazrat, and others. The master called to him from his room. M went out quickly and brought Mahendra in. Master to Mahendra, sit down and listen to my words. Mahendra was a little bit embarrassed. He sat down. Master to the devotees, God can be served in different ways. An ecstatic lover of God enjoys him in different ways. Sometimes he says, "O God, you are the lotus and I am the bee." And sometimes, "You are the ocean of Satchidananda and I am the fish." And sometimes again, the lover of God says, "I am your dancing girl." He dances and sings before him. He thinks of himself sometimes as the friend of God and sometimes as his handmaid. He looks on God sometimes as a child, as Jashoda did, and sometimes as husband or sweetheart, as the gopis did. Sometimes Balarama looked on Krishna as a friend. Sometimes he would think he was Krishna's umbrella or carpet. He served Krishna in all possible ways. Was Sri Ramakrishna hinting at his own state of mind while thus describing the different attitudes of a lover of God? Next, he described Chaitanya's 3 spiritual moods. Master, Chaitanya Deva used to experience 3 moods. In the innermost mood, he would be absorbed in samadhi, unconscious of the outer world. In the semi-conscious mood, he would dance in ecstasy but could not talk. In the conscious mood, he would sing the glories of God. To the devotees, are you listening? You are listening to my words. Try to assimilate them. When worldly people sit before a sadhu, for the time being, they completely hide all worldly thoughts and ideas. But once away from the holy man, they let them out again. You've seen a pigeon eating dried peas. You think he's digested them. But he keeps them in his crop. You can feel them there. At dusk, put aside all duties and pray to God. One is reminded of him in darkness. At the approach of darkness, one thinks, I could see everything a moment ago. Who has brought about this change? The Muslims put aside all activities and say their prayers at the appointed times. Mukherjee. Revered sir, is it good to practice japa? Master, yes. One attains God through japa. By repeating the name of God secretly and in solitude, one receives divine grace. Then comes his vision. Suppose there's a big piece of timber lying underwater and fastened to the land with a chain. By proceeding along the chain, link by link, you will at last touch the timber. Higher than worship is japa. Higher than japa is meditation. Higher than meditation is bhava. And higher than bhava are mahabhava and prema. Chaitanya Dev had prema. When one attains prema, one has the rope to tie God. Hazra entered the room. Master to Hazra, love of God, when it is intense and spontaneous, is called Raja Bhakti. Vaidhi Bhakti, formal devotion, depends on spiritual injunctions. It comes and goes. But Raga Bhakti is like a stone emblem of Shiva that has sprung up out of the bowels of the earth. One cannot find its root. They say the root goes as far as Benares. Only an incarnation of God and his companions attain Raga Bhakti. Hazra, ah me. Master, one day I was returning from the pine grove when I saw you telling your beads. I said to the Divine Mother, Mother, what a small-minded fellow he is. He lives here, and still he practices japa with a rosary. Whoever comes here, referring to himself, will have his spiritual consciousness awakened all at once. He won't have to bother much with japa. Go to Calcutta, and you will find thousands telling their beads, even the prostitutes. To M. Please bring Narayan here in a carriage. I am making the same request to Mukherjee. I shall give Narayan something to eat when he comes. There's great significance in feeding boys like him. Any questions on that so far? We're going to the next day. Saturday, October 4th, 1884. It was the day of the first full moon after the Durga Puja. Sri Ramakrishna arrived at the Calcutta house of Nabin Sen, the elder brother of Keshab Chandra Sen. On the previous Thursday, Keshab's mother had begged the master to pay her a visit in Calcutta. The master seated himself in a room on the upper floor of the house. With him were Babaram, Kishori, and a few other devotees. Nandalal and Keshab's other nephews, Keshab's mother, and other relatives of his waited on the master. It had been arranged to have devotional music performed in the room. M was sitting in a room downstairs listening to the kirtan. Sri Ramakrishna said to the Brahmo devotees, "The world is impermanent. One should constantly remember death." Then he sang, "Remember this, O mind, nobody is your own. Vain is your wandering in this world, trapped in the subtle snare of Maya as you are. Do not forget the mother's name." The master said to the devotees, "Dive deep. What will you gain by merely floating on the surface? Renounce everything for a few days. Retire into solitude and call on God with all your soul." The master sang, "Dive deep, O mind, dive deep in the ocean of God's beauty. If you descend to the uttermost depths, there you will find the gem of love." At Sri Ramakrishna's request, the Brahmo devotees sang, "Thou art my all in all, O Lord, the life of my life, the essence of essence. In the three worlds I have none else but thee to call my own. Thou art my peace, my joy, my hope. Thou my support, my wealth, my glory. Thou my wisdom and my strength." The master sang again, "O mother, for Jashoda, thou wouldst dance when she called thee, her precious blue jewel. Where hast thou hidden that lovely form, O terrible Shama?" The Brahmo devotees also sang to the accompaniment of cymbals and drums. "O mother, how deep is thy love for men. Mindful of it, I weep for joy. Almost from the day of my birth I have transgressed thine every law, and still thou lookest on me with love, comforting me with sweet words. Mindful of it, I weep for joy. O mother, the burden of thy love is far too great for me to bear. My soul gives a heart-piercing cry at thy love's touch. To thee I come, seeking a refuge at thy feet." Then again sang the Divine Mother. They sang again of the Divine Mother. "O Mother, thou my inner guide, ever awake within my heart, day and night thou holdest me in thy lap. Why dost thou show such tenderness to this unworthy child of thine? Ah, it seems thou art mad with love, now caressing, now with strong grasp. Holding me firm, thou givest me to drink thy nectar, pouring in my ears thy words of loving tenderness. Unceasing is thy love for me, a love that cannot see my faults. Whenever I am in danger, thou dost save me. Savior of sinners, I know the truth. I am my mother's, and she is mine. Now I shall listen to her alone and follow the path of righteousness. Drinking the milk that flows from my mother's breasts, I shall be strong and sing with joy. Hail, O Mother, Brahman eternal. The master and the Brahmo devotees sang several songs about Hari and Gauranga. Next day, Sunday, October 5th, 1884. Actually, it kind of sounds like they took turns singing back and forth to each other. October 5th, 1884. Sri Ramakrishna was sitting in his room after the midday meal with M. Hazra, the elder Kali, Babaram, Ramlal, Hari, and others. Some of them sat on the floor and some stood about. On the previous day, the master had visited Keshav's mother at her Calcutta house and had made her happy with his devotional songs. Hazra had been living with the master at Dakshineshwar a long time. He was a little conceited about his knowledge and even criticized the master now and then before others. Again, he would sit on the veranda of the master's room and tell his beads with apparent concentration. He spoke slightingly of Chaitanya as a modern incarnation. He would say God gives not only pure devotion, but also wealth. He has no lack of it. By attaining God, one obtains the 8 occult powers as well. Hazra had a small debt to clear up, about 1,000 rupees. He had incurred it for the building of his house and was worried about paying for it. The elder Kali had a position in an office from which he received a small salary. He had a large family to maintain. He was devoted to the master and visited him now and then, even absenting himself from the office. Kali to Hazra, you go about criticizing people. You are like a touchstone, testing what is pure gold and what is impure. Why do you speak so much ill of others? Hazra, whatever I say to him, meaning Sri Ramakrishna alone. Master, that is so. Hazra began to explain Tattva Jnana. Hazra, the meaning of Tattva Jnana is the knowledge of the existence of the 24 tattvas or cosmic principles. He was wrong about the meaning of the word. A devotee, what are they? Hazra, the 5 elements, the 6 passions, the 5 organs of perception, and the 5 organs of action, and so forth. M to the master smiling. He says that the 6 passions are included in the 24 cosmic principles. Master smiling. Listen to him. Notice how he explains Tattva Jnana. The word really means knowledge of self. The word Tat means the supreme self, and the word Twam means the embodied soul. One attains supreme knowledge, Tattva Jnana, by realizing the identity of the embodied soul and the supreme self. After a few minutes, Hazra left and sat on the porch. Master to M and the others. He, meaning Hazra, only argues. This moment perhaps he understands, but the next moment he is his old self again. When the angler hooks a big fish and finds it pulling hard, he releases the line. Otherwise it will snap and the angler himself will be thrown into the water. Therefore, I do not say much to him. To M, Hazra said that a man could not be liberated unless he was born in a Brahman body. How is that? I said, one attains liberation through bhakti alone. Savari was the daughter of a hunter. She, Ruhidas, and others belonged to the Shudra caste. They were liberated through bhakti alone. But still, Hazra insisted. He recognized Dhruva's spiritual greatness, but not as much as he recognized Prahlada's. When Latu said, Dhruva had great yearning for God from his boyhood, he kept still. I said that there's nothing greater than the bhakti that sought no end and had no selfish motive. Hazra contradicted me. I said to him, a wealthy man is annoyed when a petitioner comes to him. There he comes, he says angrily. Sit down, he says to him in an indifferent voice, and shows that he is much annoyed. He doesn't allow such a beggar to ride with him in his carriage. But Hazra said that God was not like such wealthy people of the world. Did he lack wealth, that he should feel pinched to give it away? Hazra said further, when rain falls from the sky, the Ganga and all the big rivers and lakes overflow with water. Small tanks, too, are filled. Likewise, out of his grace, God grants wealth and riches as well as knowledge and devotion. To the devotees, but I call this impure devotion to God. Pure devotion has no desire behind it. You don't want anything from me, but you love to see me and hear my words. My mind also dwells on you. I wonder how you are and why you don't come. You don't want anything of God, but still you love him. That is pure bhakti, love of God with no motive behind it. Prahlada had it. He sought neither kingdom nor riches. He sought Hari alone. M. Hazra is a chatterbox. He won't achieve anything unless he becomes silent. I said, Master, now and then he comes to me and becomes mellowed. But he can be a pest. Again he argues. It is very hard to get rid of egotism. You may cut down an ashwatha tree, but the next day a sprout will spring up. As long as the roots remain, the tree will grow again. I said to Hazra, don't speak ill of anyone. It is Narayana himself who has assumed all these forms. One can worship even a wicked person. Haven't you observed the Kumari Puja? When you worship a girl who has all the physical limitations of a human being, why should you worship a girl who has all the physical limitations of a human being? It is because she is a form of the Divine Mother. But God dwells in a special way in his devotee. The devotee is his parlor. If the gourd has a large body, then it makes a good tampura. It gives a nice sound. 2 monks had arrived at the temple garden in the morning. They were devoted to the study of the Bhagavad Gita, the Vedanta, and other scriptures. They entered the master's room, saluted him, and sat on the mat on the floor. Sri Ramakrishna was seated on the small couch. The master spoke to the sadhus in Hindustani. Master, have you had your meal? Sadhu, yes, sir. Master, what did you eat? Sadhu, dal and bread. Will you take some? Master, no, I take only a few morsels of rice. Well, your japa and meditation must be without any desire for results. Isn't that so? Sadhu, yes, sir. Master, that is good. One must surrender the result to God. What do you say? That is the view of the Gita. One sadhu said to the other, quoting from the Gita, O Arjuna, whatever action you perform, whatever you eat, whatever you offer in sacrifice, whatever you give in charity, and whatever austerities you practice, offer everything to me. Master, if you give God something, you receive it back 1,000 times. That is why after doing meritorious deeds, one offers a handful of water to God. It is the symbol of offering the fruit to God. When Yudhishthira was about to offer all his sins to Krishna, Bhima warned him, never do such a thing. Whatever you offer to Krishna, you will receive back 1,000-fold. To one of the sadhus, Well, sir, one should be desireless. One should renounce all desires. Isn't that so? Sadhu: yes, sir. Master: but I have the desire for bhakti. That is not bad. Rather, it is good. Sweets are bad, but they produce acidity. But sugar candy is an exception. Isn't that so? Sadhu: yes, sir. Master: well, sir, what do you think of the Vedanta? Sadhu: it includes all the six systems of philosophy. Master: but the essence of Vedanta is Brahman alone is real and the world illusory. I have no separate existence. I am that Brahman alone. Isn't that so? Sadhu: it is true, sir. Master: but for those who lead a householder's life and those who identify themselves with the body, this attitude of I am he is not good. It is not good for householders to read Vedanta or the Yoga Vishishta. It is very harmful for them to read these books. Householders should look on God as their master and on themselves as his servants. They should think, O God, you are the master and the Lord, and I am your servant. People who identify themselves with the body should not have the attitude of I am he. And let me just check. Yeah, I think we'll stop there today because the devotees remain silent. And we'll stop there. Now, any questions or comments? Have you all been silenced by the reading?
I have a question.
Okay. John?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a statement, something to the effect you achieve God and you get the 8 occult powers, which I think is something that in our Japa prayer we say we're not looking for.
No, we're not looking for them.
Yeah, well, what is the business about achieving God, then you get the powers? What is that in there? It doesn't seem to make any sense.
Well, the powers might come, but you just ignore them. I think Ramakrishna said you could try it once and then leave it. Isn't that so?
Or just avoid them, period.
Avoid them, period. But I think he told Narayan, Swami Vivekananda, that he could try it once and then ignore it.
Okay, well, thank you. I can't get my picture back, but thank you for the answer.
Okay. Don't worry about it. Just don't worry about anything happening. And if they do happen, don't do anything with them. Leave them at the doorway. Okay, this weekend, tomorrow, we have Swami Sumanasananda coming, and his title of the lecture is Both United in the Atman. So we can look forward to that. And good heavens, there's going to be a talk by Swami Atmagyanananda in Trabuco, which will not be on Zoom or live stream, but it'll show up a couple days later. It's the celebration of the 75th anniversary of Ramakrishna Monastery in Trabuco. And Swami Atmagyanananda from Washington, D.C. lived there for 16 years. So his title is Reflections on 16 Joyous Years. So you may want to catch it on YouTube after the fact. We'll read Swami Ramakrishnananda, Apostle to the South, on Wednesday. I keep saying Sri Ramakrishna. And then many of you will be going to some of you will be going to the Asilomar retreat, which is on the weekend of the 7th, 8th, 9th. So, is that live stream? I don't believe it's live. It will not be live streamed, but I believe it will be available
Later, probably months later.
probably a month later, the talks, if you can't get there. Okay? And I think that's on the 9th, when the Asilamar retreat is going, Swami Veda Rupananda will be speaking here. And he will be speaking on the spirit birds. Okay. And Swami Mahayogananda will be speaking in Hollywood, the Cave of the Heart. So now you know what's happening in our two centers if you're not in Asilamar. Okay. All right. Good to see you all. Everyone looking pretty well. And everyone's well here. Okay. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. We'll see you Wednesday.